This morning, we are learning more about the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic is having on LGBTQ children and teenagers. Manny Velasquez-Paredes is the director of UNF's LGBT Resource Center and is joining us via Zoom this morning. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Would you explain what kind of challenges this pandemic has had specifically on college students?
It's been a very challenging time, for everyone, of course, but mainly for college students. A lot of them were in the process of just going home for spring break, what they originally thought was just going to be spring break, and they ended up staying home a lot longer than that, right? We've all been under quarantine, so it's been a little bit difficult for everybody to be able to maneuver that. Some of them have had to deal with issues of having their own homophobia with their own relatives, their parents. So it's been a lot of things to be able to have to deal with.
It's interesting, too, because I was reading an article in Parents Magazine that interviewed a mother of a 13-year-old named Aaron. Aaron was born as a girl, but now, identifies as a boy. And this mother, gives this account of how different, her son is in terms of his happiness level because he's not in school and because of the kind of bullying that he was experiencing while he was in school, of course, before the summer started. Can you explain, just based on maybe your personal stories or those you've heard from others, about how challenging it is for someone who is, thinking about transitioning and being around other kids who don't understand or perhaps share that same feeling?
Sure. So the first thing that we need to realize is that within Florida, we've got about 8% of the youth population who identifies as part of the trans community. Now, on average, we've only got about 1 in 7 kids who report being bullied in school. Now, when you compare that to the trans community, and we've got about 80% of trans kids that are reporting being bullied in school, it makes it very difficult for them to be able to try to figure out their day-to-day life within school itself, right? Education takes a backseat in that sense because they're having to deal with the bullying not only from their classmates, but perhaps even some of their teachers and administrators who are misgendering them and are not wanting to call them by their preferred names or their pronouns. It makes it very difficult for them to be able to try to get any type of education. Now, I've got 2 children. They do not identify as trans kids at this moment. They don't identify as anything, actually, at this moment. They're still too young for that. But I have seen bullying happen in their schools. And it's very difficult for them to be able to try to learn and get a day-to-day education. And I've seen the difference of how my kids, how their grades have improved just being at home during these last 2 months of quarantine that we've had here in school. And I've seen their grades go up to the point that their last report cards were basically straight A's for both of them. So I can see
Manny,
that.
Yeah, I just want to just very quickly here, we only have a few seconds left, but I just want to make sure, because as now we're approaching the beginning of the school year and so many students will be expected to go back to school in person, what resources are available for children who are anxious about that and bullying?
There are a lot of different resources out there. Obviously, if you're here within the local area of Jacksonville, you can always reach out to us at the UNF LGBT Resource Center, and we can be able to provide you with all the different kind of resources. We also have several national organizations that deal with this. So I believe they sent some names that you can post.
We do, Manny. Actually, there's several of them that are listed on the screen, including UNF. Manny, thank you for your time and your perspective, which is so important as we try to always encourage our young people to identify with who they feel they are. Thank you, Manny, for your time this morning. We'll be right back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.